Alright everybody, and welcome back to the channel. I know that today we're going to be going over how to do Sheila, and in part of that we have here in my guidebook. Many of you might have seen this already, some of you might not have. It's still a work in progress where there's quite a bit in here. And for us today, we're going to be focusing on here. So this is just to give a little context before we start, and hopefully it'll help you guys to understand the mechanics of the fight in order to progress and clear it on your account. So for me, I discovered that there are a couple of characters that you absolutely do need. One of them is Del Carlo. She is absolutely necessary for this one. Now some of your other characters, your damage characters, can vary depending on your account. For me, the most consistent and the one I was able to clear it the earliest on was using a Lumine and a Lamia combo. So these two together were my main carries. I was next able to do it using the T-Hadian Lamia, and I've also been able to clear it using a Lumine and a Van Helsing. These other ones I've gotten close to stage 8 basically. These ones I've gotten to stage 9 in order of this one first, this one the next day, and then this one the day after that. So I've been clearing T9s for about 4 or 5 days now. The earliest you can clear them, I would say, is probably about level 140 for your characters, and of course it depends on your dupes and the skill levels and such. For all of my characters, they are usually tested at 4-4-1 for ultimate, special, and basic attack. And then if it's anything else than that, if it's a main carry that I'm going to use in a lot of modes, then I might do 4-4-4. This is the team that I'm going to be showcasing in order to talk about some of the mechanic, and then in the notes and strategy section I talk about some additional written version of that. The positioning of this does matter, as does the ult order, so keep those in mind. And again, if you don't have these teams, you could try with some of these sub damage and alternatives to Seth in order to see if that's able to help you progress a little bit further. Alrighty, and here we go. So heading into Lost Courtyard, we have Tomb of the Fallen. Today is Sheila. So Sheila, I know some people tend to struggle on a little bit. That's because of the way her mechanics are. And then when she enters her sword swing phase, then it does a whole lot of damage. So first we're just going to look at these and see which ones are the most important for us to worry about. So one is she does magic damage to enemies ahead in a cone. So if one of your characters is slightly offset to the side, they can be baiting that cone damage. So there's a strategy with that where you TP using a tank such as a Yig, and you could kind of soak all of the damage, and that's one way of dealing with it. The other one is dealing magic damage to enemies in a radius around the target. Again, you could offset that by TPing only one character towards a specific location such as Yig. The other one, this is where it starts getting into the harder mechanics. So the Hidden Wings deals magic damage to all enemies, unleashes a Scale Storm, deals massive magical damage, and it becomes unusable if Hidden Wings is destroyed. So this is basically her wing slashes that she keeps doing, and it's triggered in the second phase. So the other part of that is the Plague Rot. So once she enters the second phase, then Plague Rot will start going as well. So this Hidden Wings is important because the hitbox on it is extremely wonky. You need either an AoE targetable, or you need somebody that could specifically target one character. There are 3 places, and I'll show you once we're in the run how and where to hit them, but just note that this can be the difference between you surviving, being able to hit that, and if not, once you are a little bit higher level, you could kind of ignore it. But for most people, it's going to be quite difficult to ignore the damage output from the Tempest skill. So then the other one is the Sealed Fate for the summoning of the Plague Nest. So this is at a random location, but it generally picks your frontline characters, so whoever holds the enemy aggro is where you're going to have these Plague Nests spawn. The random location is going to be around them, so it's either going to be in front of them or it's going to be behind them. So just note that whoever is your character that's closest and where they're positioned, where they're going to land, and that's important for being able to hit a damage rotation. It lasts 15 seconds, so that's also another thing. If you're unable to kill them in 15 seconds, then they evolve and basically explode explode, and then they summon these plague hatchlings. So the explosion damage is not too bad in the first phase. In the second phase, it's a little bit more damage, but the plague hatchlings themselves actually do quite a bit of damage, especially in the second phase. In the third and final summon, they do insane damage. So if you can survive the sword swings, this is something that can kill you right here, is the summons basically. The other thing that happens is that when she is doing the continuous summon of the plague hatchlings on here, those things summon, and then every time you kill them, that's when she loses her HP. So that's a big way to do burst damage on her, is to explode all of those. The other thing is when they explode, they self-destruct after 2 seconds, dealing additional damage. The important part about this is when the skill ends. So after 15 seconds, if you're unable to kill them, they will explode in 2 seconds. So between that 15 and 2 seconds before they explode, you can actually TP away, and the damage explosion will not affect your characters because the radius is small enough where it's not a map-wide explosion. So that's another thing that to keep in mind. If you have a TP character and you're able to survive the sword swings, but you don't have enough damage to burst down these hatchlings, you could just TP away, and then that's a way to survive and be able to progress further. The top part of it is when it's expanding, she has increased attack speed, she gets the summons, but it also increases the plague domain, which the plague domain basically gives this stack of blight every 3 seconds, where what you need to know is the reduction of attack speed. So at 10 stacks, that's when you take the continuous damage. At 20 stacks, that's when you take the massive continuous damage. So they do not expire, but they can be purified, or if you heal them, it could remove. So you want a character that could do lots of ticks of healing, or they could purify. So that's why in that guide, Seth is the absolute best character for this. One is she's able to do purification, but also she's also able to do a massive heal, which can help, say, if you do survive the explosion from the hatchlings, or you're running low after a couple of swings from the sword swings, then you could do a big burst heal. And then you have Starry-Eyed Aeona in order to do that. So now that everything has been explained, she does magic damage. So again, if you have magic characters, that will be a little bit better. She's also strong against physical defense. So again, the magic characters tend to do a little more better on this. I think most people know that the tier 1 of this is going to be better than the highest tier of Baphomet, so again, you don't need to worry about that. So here is my team. I first cleared this at level, I think 138 or something like that. My BP was 55k or something. So here we are. Here's 454, Del Carla 544, have her 644, Lamia 444, and then we have Seth, who is a 441. So that's the characters, and now the placement. So when I went through, I looked at all my characters. So magic defense 2700, SEA is 3100, Del Carlo's 2956. Then we have Seth as a 32, and then we have Lamia, which is a 28. So she's actually my lowest magic defense character. So you can put other characters there, just that Lamia did a little bit better for the rotation purposes of my comp. So I'm going to keep this on 1x speed just so I could explain things. So the way I have the ult set up is important. I have Starry-Eyed, I have Del Carlo, and then I have Lamia. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to TP over with Starry-Eyed, and then based on her maximum range, you want to basically be not as close to here as possible, but slightly offset. When you are slightly offset, when Sheila does summon her plague hatchlings, they will come to a certain position. At that position, they will group up, and that will allow you to do area attacks on the ground and to be able to hit all of the enemies at once. So we just keep going. Sheila is different than Clive, where Clive you want to burst down as quickly as possible. With Sheila, you do not. So here's my first TP, and basically where I want to go is about as north as possible, which would be about here. Then I'm just going to go back a little bit. That'll be able to help me to survive a couple of hits and help to group the enemies. Sometimes you need to watch out for the enemies, and it will. So here I am grouped. Now I'm just going to start my rotations here. So I'm just going to go ahead and get these guys going. So I'm saving basically my ult until the hatchlings are down. So hatchlings are down, so I'm going to do this one first. If you don't have Lumine, then you might not be able to do this rotation. Not, then you could use Lamia and a Delcarlo combo, or you could use a Thibault and a Delcarlo combo, or even an Agarus can even do fairly well in this as well. So it just depends on who you have. But I'm saving, basically I waited till I had 6, and then I'm going to cast this. That's going to do some damage. My Dull is strong enough to do it, but if not, then you could follow up with Lamia. So I'm holding my blood energy here basically for the next rotation, and then once I hit 10, then I'm going to do her. And then I'm just going to do this in the same position just so I'm close here. And that's just going to help get rid of my plague stacks. And then I'm just going to wait until I have at least 4. So you can see here, I want to be able to do it so I could hit multiple enemies, and then I could also hit her at the same time. So as you're doing this, I would wait till you get close to capping on your energy here before casting this. You have 15 seconds basically to kill these enemies, and so you can keep waiting as long as you need here so you could get multiple enemies in one hit if the spiderlings are killing you. So I'm just going to go ahead and cast it here. Every time you do that, it gives her the blood cost reduction as well as increases her damage, gives her basically the frenzy stacks, and then it also helps to be able to do things. So this is how you're able to one-shot these swarms, is just by continuously casting Lumine ult, and then if you don't have enough energy and your Doll or Lamia is able to clear it, then you could do that as well. So I'm just going to go that because this is the final spawn here, and then now I'm good here. So I'm going to go ahead and cleanse, and then I'm going to go ahead and work on killing this group right here, and that's going to get my blood frenzy going. So I can't hit both of them, so that's okay. I was slightly offset, so we're going to go ahead and get that going, and then we're going to do a save my energy basically for the next one. Then I'm going to cast this right before it ends just so I can get some damage off. Alright, again I'm going to TP right into the same spot in the middle. Then we still have 2 minutes and 40 seconds, so we're good. My Lamia slightly pulled to one side, so I'm a little worried there, but we're about to hit second phase. Alright, so second phase. Now she's going to start doing her zone, and then now here's something. If you see, she has the hitbox in the middle, but she also has a hitbox on her sword. So when she swings, it's going to hit multiple places. One, it's going to stop over here. The other is going to stop kind of on the top over here. And then the other is when she swings, it's going to come like out, and then in, and then across is kind of how it does. So when you're targeting, you could target, you see right here, this is how you aim your targets, is basically you release it, so it's going to hit about right here, so it'll hit both enemies at the same time, you could kind of see, and then it's coming back in, so you could hit it right here, and that would hit her. She's resting it right now, and then she'll bring it back once she's done with the swing. So I usually wait for the second swing on the back, and then I can hit it like that. And then the Lumine ult is a little bit bigger, and so you can hit it again using this as well. Lamia ult is easiest for those if you're struggling to hit it, because you could just wait for it to swing around when you're going slow-mo, and then you could just directly target it as it comes back around. So I'll just hold and wait, and then just right here I'll click it like that, and then it'll bounce and hit. And then I'm just going to wait until she swings again, and then I'll just, once she's pulling it back, then I'm just going to target right here and get that going. And then I slightly missed it, but that's okay. I'm just going to cleanse my stacks and repeat. And then now I'm holding it because it's about to enter the next, once a bar drops, then she'll do a summon. Or she won't do a summon, so I'll just go ahead and get this going right here. Okay, and then I'll kill the wing right here. Alright, now we're going to bump this, get some stacks going, and then I'm just going to hold my energy. So I'm going to TP slightly to one side, so the spawns all come to one spot, and then I'm just going to start cranking away. So this is one hit, and then it slightly missed some of them, so I'm just going to move back, and make sure I get all of them, because it's more important to hit these than it is to hit her, because killing these is also going to damage her. If you could hit everybody, then that's good. So I'll do this and I'll miss these two, but that's fine. And then I'm just going to repeat and do the same thing. Alright, so now I'm just going to do this. And so on this phase, once she does this final summon, this is more difficult because it's the hardest thing to kill for her. So I'm going to do this once, and then I'm going to Lamia. And that should be enough to kill them. And if it doesn't, then I can pull and do a Dulcarlo. So now I'm able to ult, get my stacks removed. Then I'm going to get TP back, just so I'm a little bit further away. And then I'm going to get my rotation saved up basically for this final phase. So I'm just going to hold energy here basically until I'm able to get some damage down. So I'm building up energy. Alright, and now she's down. So here's burst 1, here's burst 2, here's burst 3. And then now I'm just going to hold for the spiders and clear the spiders. So they're kind of spread out, so that's going to be a problem. So I'm actually going to TP back and then hit everybody. Okay, that was good. Now I'm going to hit one more group. So I'm missing the back, so I need to worry about the back, basically. Alright, now I just need to burst her down, and that's pretty much it. So the struggle is basically, do you have enough damage to kill those? The positioning kind of got off there. Usually I pull myself back so all of the enemies come and hit at the same spot. But yeah, so that's kind of how you'll do it. Depending on the comp that you do, there can be different rotations, but that's generally the gist of it. And then you just burst her down for that final blow. So we'll go ahead and skip it and show you the damage recap. So that's the full clear 9 right there. So as you can see, Lemonade does by far the most damage out of all of this. If you don't have a Lemonade, then it's actually going to be your Dulcarlo is going to be your highest damage. Other than that, it might be a close second on a Lamia. So that's kind of how I do the rotations, how I approach it, and how the reasons why that it works that way. And if I go ahead and swap over this, we could just look at the comps again real quick. So say you didn't have Starry-Eyed, you can use an acapella, which can work. And again, say you don't have a Lamia, then you could sub out for a Thibault, you could sub out for an Agarest, just because you could do targetables, and that'll help T-Haiti be able to do the burst damage. Incendiary Agarest works to a degree, but when he's fighting the 3 elite hatchlings, so to speak, those ones is difficult for him to kill, so you need something to kind of do a better burst damage, so T-Haiti tends to do better. For Sheila specifically, if you do a TP back using a Van Helsing, he does not reset on the elites, but for the other enemies, if you TP back, he'll reset and actually start shooting the regular hatchlings. So he is viable in this if you have a strong built Van Helsing. He's just not as good at the targeting of sword when she's doing the swinging, which is why I tend to prefer having something that could do a swing. T-Haiti, again, as the sword is swinging past her, you could use that and hit the sword basically and one-shot the sword using her if you have some DOT stacks going. Now let's say you don't have Seth. Who do you use? So if you were using a Starry-Eyed Aeona, then you can't use Aeona. So you could use an Adina, that works just fine. Cecia works okay, but her bounce damage is not enough burst to handle the elites. And then on the 3rd phase, and then sometimes halfway through the 2nd phase of the swarm summons, she is not very good at being able to deal with them quickly because the damage is spread out between them. So it's harder for her. T-Noah, again, falls into a similar issue where he's sacrificing his own summons in order to output more damage, but the single target damage is not the best when you're trying to burst through all of the swarm summons, basically. So if you pair them together, it's okay. You can use a Bella, but again, if you wanted to do a TP strat, then you could use a Yig, where basically you just TP him off to one side. Then you could use kind of like, this is like a low power type of clear, where you could just see how much you could do. But again, that's kind of it. There's additional notes down here, but hopefully that helps explain things a little bit. I know this was quite in depth, but you know me, this is how I do my guides, so you could skip to what is important. I'll put timestamps, of course. So best of luck, and I expect to see some, once you guys start getting some higher stage clears on this, please send me the screenshots. I love to see you guys doing well afterwards. So that's it, and I'll see you guys in the next video.